Here we go. It's episode 10, week 11 upcoming of the NFL season. We did have to take our own bye week somewhere in the madness. I'm Joe Serralo. That's Jarrett Bailey. This is Plays and Parlays. Jarrett, how you feeling tonight?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah. We were on a decent heater up until about week 7, and then the past few weeks have been a pain. So still trying to get back on track. Trying to build back up that consistency, but other than that, I'm well.
Yeah, it's been 3 straight weeks of absolute hell after the first 8 weeks of the NFL season. We'd been cruising. I mean, our
Yeah.
picks were great. I had a couple of 5-1 weeks back to back. You seemed to go 4-2 for like a month straight every week on the pick six. We were doing well. Right now, it's nothing short of an absolute dumpster fire, but we're here to right the ship. So let's do so. I'll get into my first pick. I'm sticking with my 2 college plays. Actually, last week, despite the 2-4 week, I did go 1-1 in college. So I'm going to start with Wake Forest. A little bit of a typo there. This is plus 4.5 at Clemson, but stop me if you saw this one coming. The Clemson Tigers are the second worst team in college football against the spread. Only the University of New Mexico, with 1 cover in 10 tries, is worse. The Tigers 2-8 against the number on the season. They're 1-4 covering at home, and just 1-5 covering the week after a win, which of course they beat Louisville last week. So what are the odds that they cover in this one as 4.5-point favorites? I would say pretty slim. Look, Wake Forest's cover numbers are pretty even. They are 5-5 on the season. They are 2-2 on the road, and they are 4-4 after a win. But I'll take a team whose season low point total is 35 over a team who has absolutely no offense any day of the week. I mean, Clemson has 8 passing touchdowns. Wake Forest has 35. Big difference in the way these two teams operate. And Wake Forest, they're feeling good. They've got a top 10 ranking. I mean, we cannot overlook the fact that this team is ranked 9th in the country. For Wake Forest, that's humongous. Now, cap off the regular season, the conference schedule. You've got 2 games left. End on a high note. Go to Death Valley. Beat Clemson. I think the Demon Deacons win outright, so give me the plus 4.5.
Yeah, it's been obviously a down year for Clemson and a surprising up year for Wake Forest. So surprising underdogs, perhaps, but Death Valley, one of the harder places to play in the country. Like the pick a lot. Let me get into my first pick. I'm going to stick with Thursday Night Football. I'm going to take the Falcons plus 6.5 against the Patriots. Look, I get that New England's riding high. They just destroyed the Browns. It wasn't relatively close whatsoever. Their defense dominated, and they dropped 40 on Cleveland. Eventually, this team is going to come down. This isn't a team built to just consistently win games like that. Atlanta, been surprising some people, putting up more, offensive production than maybe some expected. Kyle Pitts has really emerged over the last month and a half as a really go-to guy. Cordero Patterson is having just one of the more insane seasons of the year and unexpected. Atlanta, I mean, they're playing really well offensively. AJ Terrell, one of the best cornerbacks in football. Who would have seen that coming into this season? Thursday Night Football seems to be weird like that. We saw a prime example of that last week. So I will take the Falcons plus 6.5 against New England.
Yeah, I like New England minus the 6.5 in this game. I didn't like it enough to play it, though. I do have them in a teaser, a little end-of-the-week teaser, New England in a pick'em, and then the University of Houston tomorrow night minus 2.5. If you want a bonus play, there it is. Not confident enough to pull the trigger. Like you said, Jarrett, these Thursday night games get wacky. I think we were both all over Baltimore a week ago in Miami when that went to shit.
Yeah.
Let's get into my second pick. It's a game I know Jarrett could not care any less about. It's Utah State, a little Mountain West football, late night Saturday. The Aggies, -5 against Wyoming. Look, Wyoming got fat on a really weak non-conference schedule. They went 4-0, but they have been awful since conference play began. Their record straight up in conference play, just 1-5 against the spread, 2-4. But don't forget last week's backdoor cover against Boise State. They should be 1-5 against the spread. They were down by 2 scores to Boise State, scored a 76-yard touchdown with 30 seconds to go. That was absolutely meaningless to the outcome of the game. With a much smaller line this week, they were 13-point dogs against Boise State. Now they're getting 5 against Utah State. Not enough to warrant a backdoor cover. I think the Aggies are going to blow them out. Utah State is 8-2 straight up this season. They're 7-3 against the spread. And coming off a win, they are 6-1. They've won 5 straight games. They're riding high, not only winning, but covering as well over that stretch. Look, I absolutely love this Utah State team. I loved them last week, plus 4.5 at San Jose State. They went down 14-0 early. They won 48-17. Give me the Aggies. The Mountain West has been really generous to me this year, so I'm going to include them on the show this week.
Yeah, Joe is absolutely right. I have no sort of rooting interest or betting interest in this game, but you know what? I hope it works out. So go Utah State. All right, let me get into my second pick. I'm going to take the Colts plus 7 against the Bills. Like, Indianapolis has been one of those weird teams this year where they could very well have a lot more wins than what they do. They play a lot of close games. So when you look at Buffalo, they just got much needed therapy and destroying the Jets on the road. And they finally look like the Buffalo Bills again. Josh Allen played well. Stephon Diggs had 8 catches. So offensively, they looked really in sync. But this is a Buffalo team that, you know, it seems that after a high, there seems to be some sort of low. I don't think Indianapolis wins this game, but at the same time, this is a game that the Colts, they play Buffalo and then Tampa Bay. If they want to have any sort of shot at being a wild card team, or if the Titans just have some sort of epic season collapse and the Colts could be there to steal the division, they got to win at least one of these games. It wouldn't necessarily surprise me if they win outright. I'm not confident enough to bet that, but I will bet them to cover.
Now, this is a really interesting game for me. It's another game kind of like your Falcons game where I like the opposite pick from you, but not enough to warrant playing it straight. So I've got the Bills included in a couple teasers this weekend. You see, the thing with this game is that Jonathan Taylor is going to have to go off for the Colts. Now, the Bills have been incredibly strong defending the run this season, something that they improved upon from last season, where last season their pass defense was great, but they struggled against the run, and that's why when these two teams met in the wild card round of the playoffs, we had a hell of a game on our hands. The Bills have really shored up that rush defense, and so Jonathan Taylor is going to be the X factor in this one because Carson Wentz is not going to beat the Bills by himself. You know, Carson Wentz has looked great at times for, I would say, a majority of the time over the past 4 to 6 weeks, but he is still making really stupid mistakes out there on the gridiron. We saw some almost costly mistakes last week against Jacksonville. That game was much closer than it needed to be, and I'm sorry. I don't think that the Jags are heating up. I think, you know, they're doing enough, but the Colts should have won that game by double digits. So I'm not entirely sold on Indianapolis without Jonathan Taylor. So he's your X factor in this one.
Yeah, that's going to be, you know, Buffalo's defense, you'll get any category. They're going to be near the top of that list. So, you know, run game wise, though, Indianapolis has been phenomenal this year. I'd like to think that they can put up at least some sort of production on the ground against Buffalo. But I think it's going to come down to what can the Colts defense do against the Bills offense, because that has been somehow Buffalo's Achilles heel in their losses. So if they can slow down this passing offense of the Bills, because we know the Bills can't run. So if they just go in and say, look, throw to beat us, go for it. You know, we're going to take away every sort of passing lane, try to run the ball. We're going to stop you. So if they can do that, then I like their shots, at least covering. You know, I don't think they're going to win outright, but I do think that they can cover a touchdown.
Yeah, well, let's see what the Colts learned from that playoff game last year, because last season the Colts had an amazing run defense, but it doesn't really matter. You could have a terrible run defense and still stop the run when it comes to the Buffalo Bills. It was the Colts secondary that was their Achilles heel defensively last year, and the Bills exploited that. It was still a close game, but a high-scoring game. The Colts are going to need to keep the numbers down if they're going to win this one, or at least cover this one. Sticking with the AFC East, let's get into my third pick. It's the Miami Dolphins -3 at the New York Jets. Look, the Jets are just 2-7 against the spread. So I know that they've had 2 fluky wins against some top-tier teams in the AFC. You've got the Titans, who were the 1 seed in the AFC. The Bengals, who just 3 weeks ago were the 1 seed themselves in the AFC until they went to MetLife Stadium and faced Mike White and the Jets. By the way, the Mike White era lasted all of 3 weeks. That was fantastic while we had it in front of us. Both of those wins are fluky, freaky, however you want to describe them. They're also the Jets' only covers. I don't see the Jets beating Miami this week. Therefore, I don't see them covering against Miami this week. The Fins have won 2 straight. They've covered 3 straight. I mean, almost 4 straight. If you go back 4 weeks, they lost to Atlanta. They were underdogs by 1.5. They lost by 2. So 3 straight covers, almost 4 straight. And their defense is finally looking like the Brian Flores-led defense that was just a game shy of making the playoffs a season ago. I don't see Joe Flacco giving the Jets that exuberant, youthful offensive spark that guys like Zach Wilson and Mike White can provide the Jets with. Give me the Dolphins by 3. I think the Dolphins have potential if things are clicking offensively to go in there and beat the Jets something like 24-3 this week.
Okay, my mic was muted. But yes, Joe Flacco. If the thing with the Jets is that yes, if Joe Flacco wasn't starting, I would like him to win outright. This is his second stint with the Jets. He almost pulled off that Monday night win against the Patriots a couple years ago. I get it. Was that last year actually? Oh my goodness.
I think that was last season.
Oh my goodness, time is not a real thing. So look, if it were Mike White, if it was Josh Johnson in there, I would be confident in picking the Jets. But Joe Flacco is just, he's so bad.
Right.
So,
I mean, and look, the guy's won a Super Bowl. There was a time where he was, a top 12 quarterback in the league, a short-lived time, but still a time nonetheless. But it's just he doesn't provide that spark. With the Jets, I'm looking for a guy who can say, hey, we're going to go out there and we're going to, whatever they want to do to us, we're just going to go firing on all cylinders and leave everything out there. Joe Flacco doesn't give me that. He's a leader, but his time is just past him.
Yeah, no, I think at this point he's not going to give them the best chance to win. They need Zach Wilson to come back as soon as possible. Again, I would throw Josh Johnson in there just because he played well against Indianapolis. Almost pulled off some sort of I don't get the whole. They traded a draft pick for Joe Flacco too, man. Like, why? What was the point in this? They got now 4 quarterbacks on the roster for whatever freaking reason. I don't get it. So yeah.
I mean, look, I know that he knows the playbook, but I mean, I'd imagine at the same time it's a slightly different playbook, entirely new coaching staff.
Yeah, I was gonna say he doesn't even know the argument that he knows the system's out the window because it's a whole new coaching staff from when he was here last year. So I don't know, man. It was a stupid move, and I don't get it. But regardless, I like the pick.
Come out flat as hell this week.
That's fair. I like that. So let me get into my third pick. I'm going to take the Cardinals -1.5 against Seattle. Now, this is one that I was initially hesitant on, but you look at the way Seattle's played. Like, Russell Wilson came back too soon. Did you see Geno Smith, his tweet that he deleted?
No, I didn't. What did he say?
Something like, I could vent right now, but I know it's a bad idea or something like that.
Geno's an idiot. I'm sorry. Geno Smith is an idiot.
I thought it was funny. So regardless of that, though, this just seems like a down year for Seattle. Like Russ was gone for over a month. I don't see any shot of them coming back to being a playoff team. Their defense isn't good enough to help get them there as well if the offense struggles. And if Kyler Murray's back this week, then that's a huge plus for the Cardinals, who they've missed him for the past few games. And it's really bit them in the butt, especially last week. So, I mean, they got the win against San Francisco, and then the Panthers came out and destroyed them. So I think that, with Kyler Murray back, that's a big upgrade, obviously, at quarterback. He was playing like an MVP before he got hurt. So I would take the Cardinals -1.5 against Seattle. Again, just a down year for Seattle. They lost Russ at a bad time, and it just seems like he's out of it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I've got more on this game to come myself, but the big takeaway here, Kyler Murray is the X factor in this one. Now, my fourth pick, the Detroit Lions +11.5 at the Cleveland Browns. Look, the Browns are bipolar as hell. 1 week they're putting up 40 against the Bengals in a blowout win. The next week they're giving up 40 to Mac Jones and the New England Patriots. So I know that's an offense, Jarrett, that neither you nor myself are entirely sold on.
Right.
The thing about the 0-8-1 Lions, though, is that they're 5-4 against the spread, and on the road they've covered in 3 out of 5 games. Look, the Browns, who, as I just said, let Mac Jones run up 45 points on them. Only the Browns and the Jets have that distinction. They're only 2-3 against the number at home. Now, Nick Chubb's status to make things potentially worse for Cleveland is in question for this one, as he still hasn't been cleared to play. And Baker Mayfield, who is cleared to play, is banged up. And I mean, at this point, he just reminds me of, do you remember that character from SpongeBob that's always going, my leg, my leg? That's what Baker Mayfield reminds me of. Like, he's in a body cast at this point out there playing football. It is not in the best interest of Baker Mayfield and his future as an NFL quarterback to be playing right now. The Browns want to force it because they have a ton of talent on their roster and they want to try to make some kind of run, but he's not getting healthier every week. If anything, he's getting in worse physical shape every single week. So 11.5 points is a huge number for a team whose quarterback is in question and whose all-pro running back is in question. The Lions, say what you want about the talent that they lack. They have heart all the way from the head coach down to the 53rd guy on that roster. And while that might not lead to a win, I think they keep things close.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I think a lot of this stems to the fact that the Browns just need to figure out if they want to extend Baker Mayfield or give him some sort of deal because, right now it doesn't look like they should. And I think Baker knows that. And I think he's just trying to go out there and give everything that he has and try to earn that. But yeah, I mean, Detroit last week, they tied Pittsburgh and whatnot. I was there. I sat in the snow and the rain and the cold, couldn't feel my toes to watch Mason Rudolph against Jared Goff go to an overtime tie.
That's awful.
What a time that was. So, yeah, I mean, Detroit plays hard. We've said that all year long. Eventually, they're going to get a win. 0-8-1 right now. Do I think that they beat Cleveland? I think that's a little bit of a stretch. Would it necessarily surprise me? No, because the Browns have really just played down the competition this year, and their quarterback just hasn't played well. So, yeah, I like the pick. It's not one that I bet myself, but I might tease it, actually, because I think that Detroit plus 17.5 is just a give me at that point. So, we'll see. I think that that's one that could definitely hit, though.
Now, Jarrett, before we get into your fourth pick, I have to ask you, as someone who has now witnessed a tie in person, because of the rarity of ties in the NFL, would you say, taking the fact that you're a Steelers fan and that you wanted them to win out of the equation, would you say it is objectively cool to witness a tie, or is it one of the most, what the fuck did I just watch feelings in sports?
I think it depends. Like, the Steelers tied the Falcons in 2002, and that was a really exciting game. Mm-hmm. This past Sunday, nobody deserved to win that game. It was brutal. I hated it. I hated it so much. It was the most, I don't even know how to put into words. Like, I walked away from that. Like, I really just sat here for 3.5 hours, freezing my ass off to watch that. Like, that was, I wish, I don't want to say I wish I wasn't there, because obviously going to Heinz Field is a cool experience and whatnot, and the fans are awesome, but like, that was rough. So,
if I wanted to sit in the woods or out in the cold for 3.5 hours and see nothing of worth, I would have gone with my stepdad hunting last night for opening weekend. Right,
exactly. Yeah, I'm not a hunter either, so like I've never understood the lore of it. But yeah, if it was a more competitive game, like high scoring, like 35-35, and just nobody could separate, that would have been cool. But the fact that it was 16-16, Mason Rudolph and Jared Goff, the Steelers fumbling twice at the end of the game when they could have won, like it was brutal. Not a fan. So yeah, let me get into my fourth pick. I'm going to take the Giants plus 10.5 at Tampa Bay. The Giants have played really well in a lot of these games. Like, they played well against the Chiefs and kept that game close. Last year against Tampa Bay, arguably, probably should have won that game against the Buccaneers. So, I think that Tampa, they lost to Washington last week. They're going to bounce back. I think that they're going to win. But the Giants, I mean, look, over the past month or so, I mean, they've beaten the Raiders. They've played a lot better. I think this is a game that they can at least cover. Like, 10.5 just seems like odd to me for it to be that large. Maybe it's because Vegas just sees Tampa Bay playing pissed off and just annihilating them. I can understand that. But, I don't think the Giants are going to roll over. I think they'll keep it within a possession or so, at least single digits. But, Tampa Bay is going to win, but I do think the Giants can cover a 10.5 spread.
I'm with you. The only reason logically to me that this number is so high is Tampa Bay playing pissed off. They've had 2 straight losses. Don't forget with the bye, they haven't won in 3 weeks. Very unlike a Tom Brady-led team. So they're definitely going to come out angry. Do I think they win? Yes, we'll see. I mean, is Antonio Brown going to play? All of a sudden now, news surfaced today, he's been running around with a fake Vax card. I don't know if there's a punishment for that in the league, if that breaks some sort of rule. I'd imagine it does.
It would, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I mean, an Aaron Rodgers-esque, if he's got a fake Vax card, he's probably not following the league mandates and requirements for unvaccinated players. I'm not here to dive into the ins and outs of that, but there's drama. There's always drama when you have AB. So
yeah, he saw the Aaron Rodgers situation and said, "Hold my beer." Like, watch that. Like, whatever, man. It just seems to never end with him. Not going to get into it, but yeah, I do think that the Giants can at least cover. I think Tampa Bay wins, but it'll be closer than what the spread is.
Well, speaking of Aaron Rodgers, let's jump into my fifth pick. The Green Bay Packers are the best team in football against the spread, and this week they are my lock of the week. Look, I may have lost my lock of the week on Monday Night Football with the Rams, but my locks are still 9-2 on the season. So let's discount double check our way back into the win column. In his last 7 games at Minnesota, Aaron Rodgers is 5-2 straight up, and all 5 of those wins have come by 3 or more points. In addition to that, not only is Green Bay 9-1 against the spread on the season, but in true road games, they're 5-0 against the number. Remember, their only loss was that neutral site game against the Saints in Jacksonville. Look, the Vikings played a great game last week at the Chargers. It's what they do. They're unpredictable as hell. They play down to teams like the Lions. They play up to teams like the Ravens and the Chargers. So you would think they play up to Green Bay, but they're just 1-2 against the spread at home, and they're just 1-3 against the spread. 1-3 against the spread at home, just 1-2 against the spread after a win. I love Aaron Rodgers against the NFC North. In fact, since his rookie season in 2008, the Packers are 50-32 against divisional rivals, by far the best mark in football for a team against its own division over the past 13 years. Lock it in. Green Bay -2.5. I'm seeing them in some places -1.5, even -1. The Packers by less than a field goal is your lock of the week.
Yeah, I mean, Green Bay is a team where, I mean, when Aaron Rodgers is in the lineup, obviously they're a very different team. Had to have Jordan Love in the lineup against Kansas City for the whole Aaron Rodgers situation that we just touched on. But now, Green Bay, to me, I mean, right now, make the argument they're the best team in the NFC. With the Rams falling off a little bit these past few weeks, Tampa Bay falling off. Green Bay, I think, is the best overall team in the conference right now. Minnesota, again, another one of those teams where, like, they've been close in a lot of games. They've had leads. I mean, they had 2 14-point leads against Baltimore and still found a way to lose. So, like, I have no confidence in them in terms of being able to win a big game. When they do, that'll be the first one of the year for them. So, yeah, Green Bay, 2.5, I like it. So let me get into my 5th pick. I'm going to take the Saints +2 against the Eagles. Philadelphia, they beat Denver last week at Mile High. Good for them, but this doesn't feel like a team that can go on any sort of run. I'm not scared of them. Not scared of Jalen Hurts. Defensively, they've been a lot better than I thought. Darius Slay's been playing well. The Steven Nelson addition has done a lot for them. So, I mean, they got a really good 1-2 punch in the secondary. But offensively, I mean, they don't run. Jalen Hurts isn't a great thrower. I have no confidence in them offensively. And I think that they've relied more so on teams beating themselves rather than them beating teams. And I think that's what Denver did last week. Philadelphia was opportune on defense in terms of, the Darius Slay interception or fumble return for a touchdown and everything. So I do think that, Saints defensively are very strong. Offensively, they've stayed relevant with Trevor Siemian under center, which is good. So I just think that Philadelphia isn't going to be one of these teams that goes on a run and makes a push for the playoffs. They're not good enough to do it. So I'll take the Saints +2 in Philadelphia.
Yeah, no, that's a pick I absolutely love. I've got more on this game to come, a little tease as to what my extra point might be. But I really like the Saints, especially being that the Eagles are abysmal at home.
Yep.
My 6th pick. Jarrett, this is a pick that you already hit. I think we had slightly different numbers. What did you have? Arizona -1.5?
Yeah.
So I put these in yesterday because our show is normally scheduled for Wednesday evenings. So I've got Arizona -2 at Seattle, just like Green Bay. Anything under a field goal, I'm not really thinking twice. But just like my Green Bay pick last week, this is a conditional pick. This is an if Kyler Murray plays pick. If Kyler Murray plays anything -3 or less, hammer those Arizona Cardinals. Look, they're 7-3 this season, and I know that's against the spread, by the way. They're 8-2 overall, and I know that they've lost 2 out of their last 3 games outright, but they are 5-0 covering on the road. They're also 3-0 against the spread in divisional games this year. All of those have been straight up wins, 2 against the Niners, 1 against the Rams. This is their first meeting with the Seahawks. Russell Wilson just doesn't look right. He looked like he was rushed back against Green Bay. I mean, the Packers defense is definitely on the rise, and I'm buying stock in the Packers defense right now. But still, for Russell Wilson with that offense, with Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, to get shut out, something's off with Russell Wilson. The Seahawks, that home of the 12th man stigma that surrounds them, is not there this year. They're just 1-3 straight up, 2-2 against the number at home. I mean, Colt McCoy looked like Colt McCoy last week against Carolina. It was a fluky, freaky win. We've seen some of those. Miami against Baltimore. It's been 3 straight weeks of that. This is not a fluky, freaky matchup. The Seahawks are a respected football team. I can't say, honestly, this year they're a good football team, but these are 2 teams that match up well against one another. The difference is if Kyler Murray plays like he didn't last week, the Cardinals are one of the best offensive, one of the most explosive offenses in football. So give me the Cardinals -2 if Kyler plays. If not, I'm taking Seattle money line.
There you go. So yeah, I already touched on this, so don't need to dive too much more into it. My last pick, I'm going to take Baltimore -5.5 at Chicago. Baltimore laid an egg against the Dolphins last Thursday. Couldn't get anything going offensively. Lamar Jackson didn't look good. Several drops. Just an all-around not good game for them on offense. I mean, credit to the Dolphins defense. They sent the house on nearly every play, and Baltimore just couldn't figure out how to beat it. But this is a game against the Bears where I think that they bounce back. Chicago offensively just doesn't do enough. Justin Fields is getting better. But Baltimore's defense, with their, unique blitz packages with Wing Martindale and everything, defensively, they've been, in terms of the pass game, haven't been great, but the Bears haven't been a good passing offense whatsoever this year. So I think that if they can contain Justin Fields for the most part, this is a game that they should win. They're going to be playing angry too. And the Bears just aren't good, man. Like Baltimore, I think Baltimore got a little bit overhyped. I mean, you look at the games that they won by really close margins that either they had to come back, like the game against Detroit, they overcame big deficits against Minnesota and Indianapolis. And if Clyde Edwards-Helaire doesn't fumble against Kansas City, they probably lose that game. So like credit to Baltimore for winning those games, but the fact that, that's not a sustainable way to win all year long. So I do think that they bounce back. I think they win by at least a touchdown against the Bears in Chicago.
Yeah, it's a game I'm staying away from, just like the Buffalo game, just like New England. It's a game I like much more as a teaser. I think Baltimore wins, but they've had a knack for keeping things unnecessarily close so far this year. My extra point, pretty much gave this one away before. It's the New Orleans Saints plus 115 at the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, the Eagles are yet to win at the Link this year. They're 0-4 straight up, just 1-3 against the spread at home. That one cover, of course, Jarrett, that was the game that you and I called, where Tampa Bay was up 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and the Eagles backdoored their way into a cover in that one. The Saints are 3-2 against the spread as a road team, and they are 2-0 as road dogs, including that backdoor cover against Tennessee last week, which ended up working out for you. You had the Saints plus 2.5. I had the Titans minus 2.5. Titans ended up winning that one by 2. They're also a league best 3-0 against the spread after a loss. The Saints have covered in every game so far after a loss. This is just a chance for them to go 4-0. It's no secret that New Orleans offense is limited, but I think Sean Payton, the mastermind that he is, he's been able to work with different quarterbacks when Drew Brees has gotten injured in the past, different offensive schemes. I think he's able to work up enough on offense and, more importantly, shut down Jalen Hurts. Don't let him run against you. And in terms of passing, make him get rid of the ball quickly. That's how you win if you're the Saints. I think they win this one outright.
I'm going to, retweet you on this because that's my extra point of the week as well. Like I pointed out earlier, I just don't. Philadelphia's not a team that's going to go on some sort of run. The Saints are still stout defensively, and offensively they've been respectable with Simeon at the helm. So Eagles are bad at home. Saints are have a good defense. I think they go in and they beat Philadelphia outright.
Look, when it comes down to a chess match, who would you rather have, Sean Payton or Nick Sirianni?
Exactly.
That's to me what it comes down to in this one, because offensively, both teams are limited. The Eagles, I think, have the advantage at quarterback, but Kamara comes back in this one. Defense, it's an advantage Saints, so I'm going with the Saints outright. My teaser, 4-teamer, plus 300 odds. It's standard practice every week at this point. I'm including both my straight-up college picks. I mean, hell, you guys know the drill. If I like Wake Forest getting 4.5, if I like Utah State giving 5, I love them getting 10.5 and 1, respectively. On the NFL side, I actually didn't play either of these games straight. It's the Bills, who I talked about, not loving at -7, but loving to win outright, -1. And then Jarrett, I'm sorry, if Mason Rudolph is playing quarterback for the Steelers, I know the Chargers have been Vikings-esque, unpredictable this season. Do they lose to Mason Rudolph? I don't see it. So Chargers pick them, Bills -1. That rounds out my teaser.
I don't know if Mason Rudolph is going to be playing. I don't know if they've made that official yet. I want to say Ben is likelier to play. We will see. I also realized I forgot to put my teaser in the graphic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put your parlay on the screen and take us through that while I put my teaser in, because I rushed through this, as I usually do, because I'm such a good showman. So
well, for my parlay,
I will take care of that.
Teams. They're all money line, and I'm going a little riskier than I normally go in terms of odds. But if you look at these teams' money line, I really don't think it's all that risky. So let's start with my NFL picks, right? I've got the Chargers and Bills money line, because if I have them in my teaser as a pick 'em, why wouldn't I include them respectively money line in my parlay? 2 other games I have. The Packers money line. This is actually the second best odds I have out of those 6 teams you see in front of you. They're only -125 money line. To me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, yes, you could up this a little by taking them with the spread, which I wouldn't blame you for. But just to be safe, -125 money line, throw that in there. And then the Dolphins, who I mentioned can win this game against the Jets by 14 plus. They're only favored by 3. So the money line odds, again, pretty favorable. I believe that they're minus 205 respectively. So those are my NFL teams. Now, Utah State money line, I think they're going to win by 5. That's a no-brainer. Here's what helps the odds. Here's what makes this a plus 1835 parlay. Wake Forest, plus 170. You throw a team, an underdog, plus 170 into a 6-team parlay, and you're going to watch the odds skyrocket. I think Wake Forest is better than Clemson. I love them getting 4.5 and in a teaser getting 10.5, but I really think they're the better team and they're going to win this one outright. I know it's incredibly unlikely, but they, in their minds and their hearts, are fighting for a college football playoff push. They're fighting to go 12-1 and say, here, now it's on you. Leave us out. We've earned it. I think this is a big chance for them to make their case.
All right, so I did make my teaser, so let me throw that on the screen real quick. 14 teaser this week. I really need to get back on track. So I'm going to take Baltimore plus a half a point against the Bears. I think that they'll win, but as Joe pointed out, Baltimore has had a knack of keeping games really close this season. New Orleans plus 8. I think they win outright, just to be completely safe. If they do lose, there's no way in hell it's by more than 8. So yeah. New Orleans plus 8 on the road against the Eagles. Houston plus 16. Now, this one is the one that I'm most nervous about. That said, Tennessee is going to come down eventually, guys. Listen to me. I still think they're going to be like, I can admit that I was wrong about them. They're definitely a hell of a lot better team than I thought they were going to be. I think they're going to win. Not saying the Texans are going to beat them. I think that this game is a little bit closer than a lot of people are going to think it's good. They come out, they are 10-point favorites against the Texans at home. It's a game where they still don't have, it's running back by committee right now. Losing Derrick Henry is going to rear its evil head eventually. They're not going to lose to the Texans by any means, but Houston plus 16, I feel like that should cover. Please don't let me down, Houston. And then I'm going to take the Giants plus 16.5. I like them at plus 10.5, teasing them up to plus 16.5 just for that extra padding for a teaser. Plus 240, 14 teaser. And then let me hop into my parlay. I'm going to take the Saints money line, as we touched on earlier in the extra point segment. I'm going to take Baltimore money line against the Bears, Indianapolis plus 7 against the Bills, 49ers money line against the Jaguars, and I'm going to take the Falcons money line over New England tonight, plus 25-71. Again, these Thursday night games tend to be weird, and I think the Patriots, again, their defense is very good offensively. They're getting better. I just think that Mac Jones he's got limitations. That offense has limitations. They don't have any elite talent on that side of the ball. So I think that Atlanta has the advantage there. I think they're going to put up some points, and they're going to challenge Mac Jones to keep up. So I think that it's going to be another weird Thursday night. I'll take the Falcons to win as part of this parlay. 2 dogs, money line, shot this up, usually does. That's why the odds are so high. Both New Orleans and the Falcons are underdogs this week. So I will take them to win outright, plus 25-71 in the parlay.
Yeah, Falcons shoot that one up. I mean, the Saints money line, not a whole lot of value there.
Sure.
Decent when you parlay it with other games, but Atlanta, I mean, we're going to know in a few hours whether or not this is a bust or not, because if Atlanta wins, I really like this. Let's get into my survivor pick. My survivor pick, not our survivor picks,
Correct.
Because Jarrett shit the bed with the Bengals against the Jets.
I didn't shit the bed. The Bengals did. That was a lock.
Hey, you know what? I mean, the Bengals almost blew it for me. I took them against Jacksonville Thursday night, and they were down 14-0 at halftime in that one. So I just skated by, but hey, you know what? Survive in advance. It's like March Madness. Going with the Titans. I've been saving them, keeping them in my back pocket, just like I still got Green Bay, Buffalo, and Tampa Bay in my back pocket. Thought about Tampa Bay against Washington last week. Didn't pull the trigger. Thank God Monday morning. Going with the Titans over Houston in this one. I just, this scares me with your teaser too, because I could see this game being 31-10 Tennessee. Right now it's more impressive than their offense is actually their defense. We were waiting. It took a long time for them to heat up, but their defense, they got that knack for big plays, for turnovers. They run out some really scary blitz packages, and I just don't know if Houston's ready for it. I don't know if their offensive line is. If I'm the Texans, I'm more confident with Tyrod than I would be Davis Mills going up against a seasoned defense with some different schemes, but there's not enough for Houston to win this game. I'm sorry. This would be more shocking, in my opinion, even without Derrick Henry, than Jacksonville beating Buffalo or the Jets beating Cincinnati. Like, this would really make me go, wow, what the hell has the NFL been for the past month?
Yeah, like I said, I don't think Houston's going to win. I think that they can cover a 16.5 or 16-point spread on a teaser. Please, God, let them do that. But yeah, Tennessee should win this. Eventually, though, I think, with losing Derrick Henry, especially when we get to the playoffs, is going to be noticeable.
Oh, yeah.
So whenever that does happen, hopefully for them sooner rather than later, so they can adjust and fix that issue. But right now they're cruising. They're arguably the best team in football right now. You look at their resume, man. Like, there's not too many teams outside of maybe Arizona or Green Bay that stack up to that. So they're playing well right now, a lot better than I expected after Derrick Henry went down. They should win this weekend and keep that going.
Yep, absolutely. That does it for this episode of Plays and Parlays. It's episode 10 as we gear up for week 11 in the NFL. I'm Joe Serralo. Catch me on Instagram at Joe Serralo, on Twitter at the Joe Serralo, even on TikTok, because why the hell not at Joe_Serralo. Jarrett, how about you?
You can follow me on Twitter at JBaileyNFL. Now daily pieces for Fansided. My goodness, I'm making a bunch of fun lists. Past 3 days, top 30 players of the 1990s. Ranking every stadium from worst to best. That was fun. I got to crap on Hard Rock Stadium. It was fun. So go read those on Fansided tomorrow. Top players of the 1980s coming out.
Because you were around to watch it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm a historian at heart. So, go check all those out. They've been really fun to do. As well as the most important players of the 1900s. So every player from 1920 to 1999, who are the 30 best. So go check those out as well.
That's an interesting one. Jarrett, before you take us home, I have to say, considering I've got that jersey behind me, the top player of the 80s better be a Lawrence Taylor.
I'm not going to say where he's at, but he's certainly in the top 5.
Okay, I hope he's at number 1. If not, your list is dog shit in my books.
All right, well, I'll keep that in mind. But thank you, everybody, for watching, as you always do. We will see you next week to preview. Oh, my God, it's week 12. Oh, Thanksgiving's next week, everybody. Yes, we'll have 3 Thanksgiving games to preview. How about it?
Amazing.
So, yeah, we'll be doing this. We'll do it Wednesday or Tuesday, maybe even Tuesday, just to give us that little extra padding for the 3 Thanksgiving games. We'll fill you in or whatever throughout the week and whatnot. But, yeah, we appreciate you watching. Especially after, our little bye week last week. So keep up with us on our socials and whatnot. We'll see you next week.